So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Maria Basols. You have with you some headsets. We're going to be having interpretation English-Arabic and Arabic-English, I hope, because I'm not an expert in Arabic yet. This will come in time, but not today. I am the Spanish ambassador to the Conference on Disarmament. I've been here since September. I'm not completely depressed about disarmament yet, and I'm not an expert on anti-personnel landmines, nor am I an expert on explosive devices, cluster munitions, everything that you all know by heart. But I have been asked to chair this side event, and I do so very happily if I can collaborate with MAG. It's always a pleasure. I am joined today by formidable speakers who really have a very professional background on these issues and also experience, which is what I think is more important. I will introduce them one by one, and then I will pass the floor to them, not before I make some general remarks to start off the side event. So I have David Willey. From MAG. He has over 10 years experience in humanitarian mine action. He has held leadership roles as country and regional director in various locations, including Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, and throughout the Sahel, as well as West Africa and region. Currently, David is the program's quality director at MAG, Mines Advisory Group, and oversees our standards, training and compliance, information management, and performance and learning units. On his left, there's General Jihad al-Bachelani. I hope I pronounced it well. He has over 30 years combat engineer officer in the Lebanon Armed Forces, started in early 2000 to work in humanitarian demining as field supervisor and progressed in positions to become the commander of the Regional School for Humanitarian Demining in Lebanon from 2016 to 2019. He is currently the director of Lebanon Mine Action Center. Under his leadership, the institution keeps on gaining credibility and international recognition. On his left, we have Ahmed Exayes. He is the chief of programs at the White Helmets organization. Prior to that, he served as the Food Security and Livelihood Manager at the Syria Recovery Trust Fund, and he has worked as a consultant and advisor at various UN agencies and INGOs. He was responsible for leading food security and agriculture projects in Turkey, Bangladesh, Nigeria, and Uganda. His career in the humanitarian sector began as program manager at Shafaq, a Syrian non-profit organization. And finally, on his left, there's Ms. Rana Elias. She is program manager at GICHD, managing the regional cooperation program. Prior to that, she has supported affected areas in the Middle East, North Africa, and Central and West America on information and database management at GICHD. And she has worked previously in UNMAS in Congo and her native Lebanon, managing the information management database for mine action in both programs. So, as I said, all of them have a lot of experience and are very well positioned to inform you on the issue that we are going to be dealing with today. The side event is sustainable and nationally owned from the outset, experiences from Lebanon and Syria. My remarks are going to be short because I don't think you've come to listen to me, you've come to listen to them. So I have 4 or 5 remarks I wanted to make before I pass the floor. As a donor country, we think demining is an essential and preliminary condition to, out of many things, 3 things that I have picked on before coming here today. First of all, reconstruct and recuperate economic activity, that's for sure. Second, protect civilians in the country. And third, to return to normality, which sounds very easy, but it's very difficult in these countries. Second reflection I wanted to make today is the importance of national responsibility and ownership of these programs in each country. The donor governments, such as Spain, go to these countries and aid at the invitation of these governments. And it is with them that we do our best job as donors, not alongside, not aside from them, but alongside them. For me, for a donor country, the key challenges are many. Let me just point out three, but we can speak about more during today. First of all, the national conditions in the country. It is not only about the demining needs of a country, it is also about the conditions one finds that affect the ability to carry out humanitarian development and mine action activities. Second, and we can talk about this later in the questions and answers. Second, the other key challenge we find, and the country, each country finds themselves in, but also the donors, is the multiplicity of donors that are there, and the need for coherence among them, and also for coherence among the actions that each one of them carries out. And finally, a couple of last remarks. Funding, we will talk about that. How can it be structured to prioritize a long-term sustainable program? We think in Spain that the best way is a multi-year financial support that we can turn to, and that we can it can be a basis for multi-year actions. And the last remark, I would say, key challenge and priority for a donor country are the education of the population, and training enough nationals so that they can do the job, and not only do the job, but themselves train others in that country to do the job in the following years. So having said all this, and I think I've gone way past my 5 minutes, let me pass the floor first to, hold on, let me see my notes. I think I have them in my head, but first to David, who will talk to us about the role of mine action centers in sustainability. You will see me going down and sitting there. This is because I need the translation, not with David, but with the Arabic, following speeches. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Ambassador, and it's such a pleasure and a privilege to be on such a diverse panel with some friends and colleagues that I've known for a long time, like Rana and the General, and some new friends and colleagues with Dr. Ahmed and the Ambassador. And thank you all for coming so early today. So today, we as MAG want to reflect on how we approach sustainable national capacities, not just as a technical or an institutional goal, but as a way to deliver long-term protection, dignity, and recovery to people affected by explosive ordnance. We all know that mine action saves lives, but how we do it, how we build systems that last beyond clearance, makes the difference between temporary relief and sustained recovery. And sustainable capacity ensures that national actors, not external agencies, can uphold communities' rights to movement, to food, to land access, to education, and to healthcare. And today we're going to focus on some lessons from Lebanon and Syria, which offer two very different but equally important models of national capacity. And we hope to draw out some themes that apply across the global mine action sector. At MAG, we firmly believe that sustainable national capacities must be designed from the beginning. And when we do that well, we're not just building mine action systems, we're building a future that communities can rely on. One of the consistent challenges that MAG has observed in mine action programs is that often we treat sustainability as a phase that comes a bit later on in the life cycle of a mine action program, when in fact we believe we need to be looking at this much more from day one. When sustainability is not built in early, we risk leaving countries with little ability to manage residual risk, to address new or newly discovered contamination, or maintain community confidence in land release. And without these systems in place, communities remain at risk, not only physically, but in terms of their rights. And building national capacities means much more than just supporting a mine action centre although this is often the cornerstone. It also means investing in civil society actors who deliver explosive ordnance risk education, community liaison, non-technical, technical survey and clearance. In fragile and conflict-affected states, civil society may be the only viable point of entry for national capacity building. For example, in Syria, where formal institutions are limited, civil society groups like the White Helmets have developed community-based approaches that meet international standards and form the backbone of the mine action sector. And these shouldn't be seen as stopgap measures. They're absolutely critical building blocks for long-term national ownership. So whether it's a structured mine action centre in a post-conflict state or a trusted community liaison team in an ongoing conflict, sustainable national capacity should include both institutions and civil society, and both need to be supported from the outset. At MAG, we try to approach every activity that we do as a partnership, whether it's planning, implementation, or follow-up. And rather than just delivering services and leaving, we try to focus on shared understanding, knowledge transfer, and local leadership, from the way we design our strategies to how we deliver our activities and to how we create our data systems. And sustainability doesn't come from completing tasks on behalf of someone. It comes from equipping national and local actors to lead and sustain that work long after we have left. So to briefly look at some case studies from Lebanon and Syria before I hand over to the other panelists. These are two countries where MAG has worked really extensively and which represent very different but equally important models of sustainable national capacity. In Lebanon, MAG has worked in a long-term partnership with the Lebanese Mine Action Centre. The Lebanese Mine Action Centre is a leading example of a national authority with strategic, operational and coordination responsibilities, fully aligned with international mine action standards. It leads in tasking, oversees national standards and land release methodologies, and also operates a regional training school that serves not only Lebanon, but other actors from across the region and the world. But their level of capacity didn't just emerge overnight. It reflects years of strategic investment, political commitment, and sustained donor support, as well as partnerships which were focused on long-term systems and leadership development. And today, because of that, Lebanon is not just managing its own mine action response, it's become a regional and global reference point for national ownership and for technical leadership. And in Syria, the situation is very different, but no less instructive. Years of civil war have led to fractured governments and limited reach of formal institutions. And yet, in this environment, civil society organizations, and particularly the White Helmets, have built localized mine action capacity that's community-driven, context-specific, and increasingly professional. They've developed explosive ordnance risk education networks, community liaison systems, and survey and clearance teams, often working in conditions of extreme insecurity. And whilst these efforts are not a replacement for state systems, they are a vital foundation. They show that capacity can emerge in parallel where access exists and where communities are empowered to lead. And as access in Syria now expands, these community-based systems, rooted in trust and in local knowledge, should be recognized and supported as the basis for future national frameworks. The experience, leadership, and operational models developed by organizations like the White Helmets during conflict must not be seen as just a temporary solution, but as assets that can not only shape Syria's, but the global world's approach to recovery and reconstruction. So, in other words, Lebanon shows us where we can go, and Syria reminds us that the journey towards national capacity can start anywhere, even amidst instability and fragmentation. And both cases confirm a simple truth. Sustainable national capacity is not a distant endpoint. It's something we can build, adapt, and strengthen at every stage, with both institutions and civil society at the center. And as both countries show, this capacity must be flexible and enduring, able to respond not only to today's contamination, but to the emerging risks and shifting needs that may arise long after clearance is declared complete. If we're serious about building sustainable national capacity, we also need to think about capacity development. Capacity development must be a core operating principle woven into every part of a mine action programme. And this means moving beyond isolated training workshops or last-minute handovers. Every activity, from delivery to reporting, should be designed with national systems and sustainability in mind. And capacity building must be mainstreamed across all technical areas. And this approach applies not only to national institutions, but to civil society. And this is a shared responsibility amongst the sector. Donors should treat capacity building as a strategic outcome, not a secondary output. And that means funding models that support national leadership, staff retention, and long-term planning. National authorities should look at capacity building not as a technical add-on, but as the foundation of their ownership. And mine action operators such as MAG must embed mentoring, co-working, and skill transfer into every aspect of programming, not just in projects labelled as capacity building. And if capacity building becomes a shared principle, not a siloed task, we don't just train individuals, we build durable, adaptive systems that will sustain long after we've left. Final slide, please. So to close, I want to bring us back to the core idea behind sustainable national capacities. Clearance is absolutely vital, but it's not the only end goal. One of the true legacies of mine action is not just safe land, it's national capacity. Capability that allows countries to respond to new risks, manage their own strategies, and inform their own people and to lead their own future. And this is what it means to move from clearance to capability, from project delivery to national owned protection. And when we build that capacity deliberately, when we embed sustainability from the outset, we don't just reduce the risk of explosive incidents. We help restore rights, rebuild confidence, and return power to the people most affected. And that is the legacy that we should all be working for. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dave, for that intervention, which was really inspiring. I took some important notes. I'd like now to give the floor to General Jihad al-Bachlani. General, the floor is yours.
I will start with a historical overview of the center and how it developed until we achieved what we have achieved with the institutions affiliated to us. After the civil war in Lebanon in 1990, we didn't have any national authority that could remove these war ordnance and munitions and mines. And at the time, we didn't have much. And in view of the army's experience with regards to ordnance, that was something natural. And nevertheless, Lebanon didn't have an official authority for mine clearance. And no specialized employees working according to standards. In 1992, the state increasingly was interested in establishing a national office or bureau for mine clearance in Lebanon through help from the United States of America, and to supervise the activities and the operations of mine clearance. And for the next 9 following years, the national office concentrated on capacity building. And the Israeli aggressions in 2006, which led to the pollution, widespread pollution because of ammunitions, required more coordination, and therefore, in response, the Lebanese government established the National Authority for Action Related to Mines, and the national office was reorganized to become the Lebanese Center for Mine Action Clearance. While assuming full responsibility on national action, the Lebanese Center was still in its very first phases and needed more capacity building. And to support such a development, the EU launched, and with the UNDP, a project, a 10-year program to build capacities and strengthen the Lebanese Center with regards to mine action. which would ensure its capacity to carry out mine clearance in an independent way. And at the end of the project, the Lebanese Center for Mine Action became an institution, a pioneering institution in this field. If we want to talk about the structure and the national policy, in 2008, the national policy was set up for mine action, and the structure of the Lebanese Center for Mine Action was established, and this center was linked to the National Defense Ministry, and where the Minister of Defense became the head of the national authority, and the Lebanese Center became the executive power to manage and implement the national policy which was set up by the Lebanese government. And despite the strong Lebanese ownership, this national strategy concentrates on full cooperation with the regional and local authorities. And in 2018, we carried out what was called the National Symposium for Mine Action, or Mine Action Forum. And this was a major mechanism, a very important mechanism to exchange expertise and experiences and to be in contact with the donors and all the stakeholders and all the partners that are working on mine clearance on Lebanese territory. This initiative was launched by the Norwegian ambassador that headed the forum, and we of course thank the countries, and that was also headed by Holland. This forum is held twice a year to guarantee transparency, coordination, and partnership in decision-making processes. And this forum is a platform for the stakeholders to speak about achievements, challenges, which strengthens the activities. And the Lebanese Center has benefited for years from this forum as an important tool to set up strategies and to follow up the main initiatives which would guarantee the success of the program on the long term. As for FINET, the Lebanese program for mine action, we have two sections. One section that has to do with internal financing by the Lebanese state, because the Lebanese center has to pay wages for and also residence fees and for fuel. And there is another section which is the more important, which is the financing of the center, because as we know, the mine action finance is a bit complicated, and we depend on external sustainable finance, which is very important for capacity building and the development of the program. The Lebanese Center builds partnerships to obtain more support to develop the institutions and to strengthen the operative capacities. And the many donors have contributed in the past years, amongst them the European Union and France and Norway and Holland and Switzerland and the United States, in strengthening the capacities of the center, which led to a professional level of the workers at the center, which facilitates the presence of experts and to exchange of information and the participation of Lebanon in international fora. Also, the NGOs, so international NGOs, including the Geneva International Center for Humanitarian Action and also MAG, they trained the workers at the center. And also they cooperated in order to provide training courses to strengthen the national capacities in actions of mine clearance. The regional school has a very important role within the center, and the idea of creating this regional school is an idea that stems from the French government, and it helped Lebanon in creating the center. The objective of that school was to give training courses at the levels of 1, 2, 3. And when the school was established in 2017, we discovered that we need to develop the capacities of that school, and that school should have a greater role than just mine clearance. So we participated in training courses other than those that were technical and that looks in all activities dealing with mines. The school provides training courses in 3 languages: Arabic, French, and another foreign language. It is a regional school. It's not limited in its training courses to Lebanon, but also other neighboring countries. We can go to those countries that speak the other languages. So we are attempting to become a school, an international school, not just a regional school. Now, sustainability of national capacities requires support and to strengthen the local institutions and national associations. And Lebanon is a successful model where an NGO, an international NGO, can facilitate the creation of an NGO, a national NGO. And here, as a Lebanese center, we are encouraging cooperation between international organizations and local organizations to build the capacities of those local organizations in the event that international organizations leave. Then we could maintain the same capacities and levels through these local organizations, and we thank the international organizations that are helping us in this regard to develop the capacities of the local organizations. Now, the exit strategy, and I think this is one of the most important matters and maybe one of the most complicated matters. This strategy is not less important than the establishment of the center. As we know, in the end, we have to be able to completely clear the mines, and the responsibility has to be at the level of management and implementation on the Lebanese territory, and therefore this is not limited to this responsibility, but also to ensure sustainability and societal solutions. It is known that financing mine action for humanitarian purposes is in order to respond to urgent needs, and it is linked to reconstruction on the long term. In 2020, the Lebanese Center set down a strategy for 5 years, a national strategy. It was linked to a strategy or a project exit strategy that will define the vision of Lebanon to ensure a full national ownership of the program and to a capacity to respond. And this strategy includes the following: that the development be gradual and well planned and will not have an impact on its capacity to implement the mine action. And here, now this was the reason for us to strengthen the national organizations with the help of international organizations, and with the stopping of finance by international donors, and it is up to the Lebanese government to assume the full responsibility in financing the national program and ensure its sustainability. Also, the Lebanese Center during this phase continues its role as a national central authority, whereas the national organizations bear the full responsibility of implementing the work to be done. Because as we know, once we end clearing the mines, there is what is called the residual risks, or maybe some regions that were not known to be polluted, and therefore the responsibility of clearing mines in those areas would be the responsibility of the government, the state. And to ensure the success of these operations, we have to concentrate on capacity building and institutional capacities and improving the management of information and having a strategic planning, and also to ensure the financing and the partnership between public and private sectors to ensure sustainability of financing, which might be the greatest obstacle in this exit strategy. In addition to this, maintaining regional cooperation and international cooperation, very important to benefit from the exchange of expertise and the development of the best practices, where this regional school will play a major role in this field. Finally, I'd like to provide some recommendations to ensure a sustainable national program. It is up to the donor countries to give priority to the national capacity building from the starting point, rather than to fully depend on international efforts. And we, as I have said, in this historic, we have established a center that took 8 years of our time, and where we were able to build our national capacities through these 8 years. And before we were able to fully carry out the responsibility, and whereas international response to help in removing dangerous materials, it is what has to be taken into consideration, and as quickly as possible, is the national capacity building. Investment in training programs and technical exchange and development of national expertise since the starting point is important, so that we can reduce the dependence gradually on external help and to ensure the sustainability of the program. Dialogue is very important between all stakeholders, such as the dialogue through the Forum on Mine Action. This is so important to coordinate between the national priorities and the contributions from donor parties and their expectations, while strengthening the societal participation and transparency. Finally, this is undeniable, within the exit strategy, it is a reality that facilitates the guaranteeing that national institutions can be independent, and also we should benefit from regional cooperation and international cooperation from the very beginning to facilitate the exchange of expertise and to adopt the best practices by giving priority to national capacity building from the starting point. And the countries could also assist this sustainability on the long term. Thank you.
For a very comprehensive intervention. Now I'd like to give the floor to Ahmed Ekzayez, Chief Program Manager of the White Helmets. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, and good morning, everyone. At the outset, let me say how I'm deeply honored to be part of this diverse and rich panel discussion. And thanks to Mac for giving us the opportunity to be part of this session. Before start discuss about the white helmet, I'm just looking at the title of this session. And I figure out there's 3 key words we need really to focus on: sustainability, national leadership and national-led response, and the outset. This is 3 words. We need always to link these 3 to each other. Sustainability, you know, sometimes donors ask us, sustainability for what? We are not saying sustainability for fund, sustainability for the impact. And to achieve the sustainability of impact, we need to have ownership from the local actors. So you see the link between these 2 by nature. And in order to get the national leadership, we need to invite national actors at the outset to be part of the discussion, to be part of the designing for any type of project, to be part for any type of discussion, how we are planning to do response, strategy, a policy, and different aspects. Therefore, these three words is very much linked to each other. We cannot achieve sustainability without national leadership, national-led response, and national actors should be sitting at the table at the beginning, and not only that, but taking the driver's seat in designing and putting the priorities. And this is what we are trying to do as a White Helmet, actually. White Helmet started at the outset of the Syrian crisis. I guess maybe some of you know about what we are doing as a White Helmet. We have started as a search and rescue team. However, now in 2025, search and rescue activities consist only 10% of our total work. The question why? Because a lot of needs on the ground, and you feel yourself as a national actors, you need to fill the vacuum, the gap that sometimes exists from different needs on the ground. So we started in 2012 at the outset of the crisis, and then we formally established in 2014 at the name of Syria Civil Defense, between two brackets, White Helmet. Now I'm proud to say that we have like more than 3,500 heroes. It's not only volunteers, it's really heroes. Because, you know, why I'm saying heroes? Because they have a capacity, and this is sometimes the discussion point between us and INGO, between us and UN agencies, that please don't say capacity building. Let's change this terminology and say capacity exchange. Because as a local actors, we have capacity. We know the context. We know what we need. We know the priorities. We are discussing with the communities. And you, as international actors, you have experience from different contexts. So let's make this exchange together in order to have an efficient and effective response. We started our Mine Action program in 2016. We were the only national actors dealing with the mine action in Syria. And I was yesterday reviewing the numbers that we achieved so far. Let me just read it from here just to make sure that I'm not making any confusion with the numbers. So a total 28,143 explosive ordnance items have been safely neutralized since 2016 until now. And also, over 4 years, non-technical survey team have conducted 5,021 field visits across villages in northwest Syria. By the way, before 8th of December, before what happened and expansion after 8th of December, our work only in northwest Syria, because we were not allowed to go like for other locations. So these numbers from the northwest Syria, we have a rich database from northwest Syria, and we are working closely with INGOs and also UN agencies in northwest Syria in order to have a efficient response. Also, in terms of the risk educations, we conducted 13,400 awareness sessions, and we reached like more than 270,000 beneficiaries in this area. So, I mean, during these like 5-6 years, we have achieved a lot with support, of course, from our great donors, but there are a lot of challenges that we encountered. In 2014, we have been nominated or selected to be as a lead for the Mine Action Working Group. And of course, thanks to Aida with us here, with her support to be part of the coordination mechanism. Just to say that we, as a national actors, also we are leading the mine action activities. Now, Syria is now open, one country. We are now working in all governorates, and we are doing our best to have centers, teams in all the villages and area in Syria. We expanded in North Hama and Homs in Deir Zor, but also we have a goal to expand to Damascus, in Dar'a and other locations as well in order to cover the whole area. I will go back to the capacity building aspect, which is something I think is very important, or capacity exchange aspect. You know, during the past years before the expansion, we as a national actor, we encountered with a lot of challenges to enhance the capacity of our teams. One of them, that we don't have a documentation, either passport or ID, for our team to travel, to go, either for Lebanon. We have been like thinking for more than 2-3 years that we have a great centers, academy, and school in Lebanon that where our team can go and visit and exchange, but it was not possible for us. To travel from Syria to Lebanon was almost impossible. So this is one of the challenges where the capacity development and the capacity exchange or training was really one of the main challenge for the national actors, because we encountered with a different aspects. Of course, funding issue is one. This is cross-cutting with the different organization, but documentations and restrictions for travel, you feel yourself in fragile state. When there is no government, you feel like really isolated and you are not able to travel. Therefore, here again, we stress the importance of having international team, international exchange, and this kind of collaboration with international organization and UN agency in order to certain extent overcome these challenges. Now in 2020-25, we are working hard with the national authority in order to establish National Mine Action Center. The new government, as you know, has been appointed 2 weeks back, and we have now a special ministries that will be dealing with the mine action aspects. This ministry is an emergency and disaster ministry. So now we are hopeful that we will be having, number one, National Mine Action Center. This will help exchange, will help the sustainability and the ownership and the continuity for the national actors to take the lead and also to enhance the capacity, will help us also to encounter the issue with the documentation, passport, traveling, exchange, and hopefully this also will have a bigger impact on the ground. So I will conclude by saying that mine action in Syria, as I mentioned yesterday, is really very, very much critical. We cannot look at the mine action as a standalone program. The mine action is enabling factor for recovery, for reconstruction, and for development in Syria. We cannot do any development without dealing first and foremost with the mine action aspect. The level of contamination in Syria is really huge, needs national with international collaboration in order to come together and collaborate in this aspect. We have more than 3 million IDPs waiting our response for them to go back home. They cannot go back home like either IDPs or refugees unless we were able to clean the land and allow farmers to go back, and also refugees and IDPs to live safe home. I think based on the report from White Helmet and INZO as well, like more than 268 killed just as consequences from the mines and explosive ordnance past like 4 months only. So huge numbers. Every day we have like 2-3 cases, which is really huge. Therefore, we need to look at this in a very critical aspect. We need national actors to be at the center, to be part, and we need also international to support us on this aspect. So thanks again, Ambassador, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that inspiring speech. And you remember when I mentioned at the very beginning of this side event that one of the key challenges were national conditions. As you were talking about the passport issue, this is one of the things that I was thinking about. So people who really don't have passports and cannot travel and thus cannot profit from regional expertise. And congratulations on this project to have a National Mine Action Center. So now I'd like to give, last but not least, I'd like to give the floor to Rana Elias, Program Manager at GICHD. Thank you, Rana.
Good morning, and thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm very pleased to be here with you today, and thank you all for coming so early, even much earlier than I did arrive this morning. Sorry, David, to cause some situation, but here I am. I'm very pleased to be with Brigadier General Bashalani and Mr. Ahmed Kozais, as well my colleague David from MAG. Thank you for the invitation. If you allow me, I will speak in Arabic, in my native language. So I will just give you some time to put on your headsets.
I believe we can start. I would like to thank each and everyone. I should like to try and speak between classical Arabic and colloquial Lebanese accent. This morning, I wish to describe the regional cooperation program, which is an initiative by GICHD, and this initiative was taken in 2006. At the beginning, it was at the behest of countries in Africa, which is French-speaking countries in Africa. So our program was started as a cooperation program, and it concentrated either on the French language in 2006, and in 2012 we started with the Arab-speaking program. Why I wish to talk about this subject? Because when we speak about national capacity building, there has to be cooperation. And I believe that this idea began and now started spreading amongst countries. And here I should like to speak about the funding donors, such as the Arab Fund for Economic and Social Development. They have the same objectives like we do, and they continue to provide us with cooperation in order to provide assistance to needing countries in North Africa. And then we concentrate on lasting funding on not just local, but regional. We receive funding from Germany and from the federal Swiss government. The objective of our program is to bequeath these capacities, to transfer the capacities. And here I should like Mr. Kazizi, who insists on this point. The capacities are there in the Middle East and North Africa, but the problem should concentrate on exchanging these, or let's say trickling down these capacities. And here I should like to address the donor countries in this room to support this cooperation not just at the national level, but also at the regional level. As David said, we have to promote partnership. For example, the Arab Cooperation Regional Program led us to cooperate with many countries. We performed workshops, training programs in Syria, in Sudan, in Iraq. Lately, we were visiting Iraq, and we invited the Libyan Center to share with us their experience in information technology, and we benefited a lot from the technical point of view. As His Excellency General Jihad said, we work collectively in order to promote these capacities at the regional level. As such, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the LMAC in order to promote these national capacities. And here I should like to thank LMAC and the Ministry of Defense for the excellent assistance and cooperation that we received from them, including logistic fees and national training. We have experts from our center, GICHD, but also from other Arab countries and from the Lebanese center who go and provide training programs. And here I should like to say that coming June, we will be having 2 training programs in Jordan, and here we will concentrate on releasing and cleaning Lebanese territories in Lebanon. I have some other information. For example, MAG concentrated on sharing these experiences and cooperated with the Middle East and North African countries in order to exchange knowledge and know-how. For example, there was a visit by the Iraqi Center for Demining to Lebanon. Such activities shows the understanding and the cooperation at the regional and national level, and we as GICHD, we encourage this cooperation. As the regional Arab Cooperation Center allows us, and here I intended to speak in Arabic because we want to promote capacity building in Arabic, because it's not easy to provide training through interpretation, even though I thank interpreters. But however, when I speak the mother tongue of the receiver, it has a different impact, and we have many experts. Either they speak Arabic, and if they don't, we provide interpretation to maximize the benefit. And here again, I should like the donor countries who provide us with financing for these training courses and interpretation. Our cooperation is mainly with national authorities. We look forward to having close cooperation with the Syrian authorities and with all the countries of the region. And here I should like to mention our colleague Aida from Mine Action Responsibility, and we hope that this will enable us to cooperate with Syria also. This program has been lasting for 10 years. Now, this is our 10th anniversary, and I would like to seize this opportunity to say we've been working for 10 years, but we still have a long way ahead. And without exchanging of capacity building, we cannot progress unless we also promote national ownership. However, these regional countries also need the international community. I do not want to dwell because I should like to leave some possibility for questions and answers, but I'd like to say that We have other programs in other parts of the world, but I wanted today to speak on our Arab cooperation programs. I should like to say that we have many literature that is in Arabic, and this information is available on international standards page, and we provided this information in Arabic upon the request of Arab countries. Yes, we do provide it in English and French, but also in Arabic in order to make sure that the information is easily available for the Arab participants. So I wanted to speak in Arabic, and I wanted to give you an idea about our regional school in Lebanon. But you know, we are, as we say in Arabic, we need energy, we need support, we need confidence, we need activity. And that's why this situation and this training course was also something that we provided in Lebanon. And we also had another training course outside the room. So yes, we have to think out of the box and to provide of other ways of providing training. And I hope that we will be getting challenging questions in order to answer your queries. But whether we are sitting, whether we are standing, whether we are in a long standing, the cooperation has to exist and has to be enough and lasting.
So if you all agree, we will now go into the interactive part of this side event, where I will give the floor to 2-3 of you who would like to ask some questions to the panelists. And then we would end the side event reflecting on key takeaways alongside with Mag, with Dave's help, key takeaways and practical recommendations of this side event. So is there anybody in the audience that would like to ask a question of one of our panelists? If you do, please, I would ask you to introduce yourselves and, if possible, unless you want all three panelists to respond, to say who would be the person you are directing your question to. Okay, thank you. At the back, madam.
Good morning. My name is Hana Al-Farra. I'm a victim assistance specialist in Syria. My question is for both General Mash'alani and Mr. Ahmad about any intentions or solid plans of including victim assistance within the National Center, either by cooperating with Ministry of Health or Ministry of Social Affairs, and is this already planned or next stage after clearance and risk education? Thank you.
Gentlemen, who would like to answer first? General.
As we know, victim assistance to help victims is a part or an activity amongst the activities of mine clearance. And the Lebanese Center in 2000, as we said yesterday, in 2000 we carried out a survey about the victims and set down a plan to assist victims. We have a vision in Lebanon which no doubt is based on international criteria, and we're ready to cooperate with anyone who, because in the end the victim exists, and we can only assist and help the victim. But the abilities to help victims is a common or a joint activity between the state and the ministries, whether the Ministry of Health or Social Affairs. every state has its own specific ministries, and also some of the work is borne by the Lebanese Center for Mine Action. We have to categorize the victims to know who is the victim, what kind of victim, so that we are able to assist, and we are ready to share our expertise with all according to our vision of how we should help and assist the victims.
What we have learned during these 14 years of the crisis in Syria, that inclusivity and comprehensivity, something is important to reach the impacts. So we cannot go ahead with the stand-alone response. If we need to do something, we need to do it at a more comprehensive manner. Therefore, I think when we are discussing the Mine Action Center, again, I'm not the responsible for that, fully responsible, but we will be advocating that the National Center should address the 5 pillars of the Mine Action Program. And this is what we be doing hard in order to be reached with the relevant ministry. But definitely, we are not advocating to have a less comprehensive or not comprehensive response. A victim assistance, something is very important. And again, this is related to the recovery plan at the national level, absolutely, yes. Thanks for this question.
Yes, a very important question. The importance of coordinating inside in different parts of the administration. It happens also to us in other issues, so coordination is never perfect. Please.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador. My question is mostly directly toward Brigadier Bashalani, but also toward all panel, including yourself, Madam Ambassador. We all have seen capacity building efforts throughout the years. Building capacity, or the new word exchange capacity, or not the new word necessarily, is an easier part, we all believe. But the key challenge is sustaining those capacities. Now, the point here is we are seeing the capacities that are built follows the financing, which means for the capacities lies in people. Those are trained. Usually, we have seen a lot of people moving around for sustainable jobs or security in terms of how they feel working forward. So, in these cases, a lot of national NGOs or even national authorities, when they are trained, they face that challenge in a time when people start moving around. My question is, Brigadier Bashalani, maybe you and also the other can answer that. How much do you feel, or you're confident on that, is that the donors and international community is taking lead and ownership to ensure that the national capacity that is built over the past several years, whether national authorities or the national NGOs, are sustained? How much do you feel? Because we clearly hear that you're asking for those supports, but how much do you think there is a sense of lead and ownership in donors and international communities that the national capacities are sustained? Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
As I had mentioned before, this is maybe one of the most difficult questions that can be asked and that we can answer. As I had said, we had prepared a draft for the exit strategy, and it is the main challenge. It is the donation, in all frankness, or guaranteeing finance for the our sustainability as a national authority, as a national institution. The finance has to come from within the government, or the government has to guarantee that finance within the country. As we know, most of the harmed countries because of mines are, let us not say rich countries, they are countries that have difficult economic situations, and therefore guaranteeing finance is maybe one of the most complicated and difficult things, and mine clearance requires money and important finances to depollute the territory. No, in order to guarantee internal financing, we say we are able to help the Lebanese center independently and fully from external assistance. Before the economic crisis, we were in cooperation with the Bloomberg Bank, and they guaranteed for us some amount of finance, but it was insufficient to manage a program to demine territories or land. And these are amongst the questions that I consider critical, so that all the activities, including demining, be borne by the state that has modest means as Lebanon. It's difficult.
General mentioned, you know, sometimes we are dealing with the terminology training with the same approach. However, a training could be delivered in a different way. So the sustainability of the training could determine how much impact we could get after the training. I mean, 1 week training, it could be said as a training. However, how much impact we can get after that. Therefore, as a national actors, we always advocate for this kind of on-job training, long-term exchange, because sometimes 1 week, we enter Monday, close Friday, with some coffee break, lunch, everything's done after Friday. There's nothing to be concrete as an impact. Therefore, sometimes how to deliver the training, the methodology of the training could be determined, the type of the impact after the training. And this is what we discussed. I think the first day I met Dave, we need the relationship between White Helmet and MAC to be sustainable in terms of, the first day Dave asked me, can we visit your field in the field, your team in the field, in order to understand what they need and to bring our team to work with your team without a kind of time limit for 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. This kind of long-term exchange is very important in order to determine the impact of the training. Moreover, I agree with you, like some national staff is moved from like national to international to abroad, which is we cannot stop this aspect. However, this is my humble request, and I'm sorry to present that now here. The salary aspect is something is very important. I know this is somehow sensitive, but we need to respect the salary scale of the national actors, the salary scale at the national level. We should not harm or do harm to the markets, please. This is something sometimes is still, sorry again to use this terminology, still the expert from national to international, because we cannot prevent anyone wants like a few more dollars to say, no, you should not go there. So I think this is, we need to, you know, work together in order to ensure the sustainability and the ownership and the type of training will be delivered. Thank you.
And thank you. If I can just add sorry, Rana, go ahead, I didn't see. If I could add just very briefly, I think, and it's a little bit of a criticism of the sector, but I think we can also do much more with the resources we already have, and I will use Lebanon as an example. The sector works absolutely best when we don't silo capacity building with a capacity building advisor by whatever person or whatever organization or a specific project. But when we look at capacity building exactly as Dr. Ahmed said, as more holistically, and as Lebanon as an example where I was fortunate enough to work with the Colonel and the General, every organization, every person had a part to play in capacity building. Capacity building wasn't seen as the responsibility of one person, one project, and no one else could talk about a suggestion to a change of SOPs or to an on-the-job training course or to anything like that. I think we need to think at the country level much more about these types of technical working groups, exchanges, and recognizing that each and every one of us, from organizations to GICHD, national partners, international partners, the UN, specialized individuals, all have a part to play, and to map that out more transparently and to coordinate better between us with how we deliver those types of capacity building initiatives, especially at a time of reduced resourcing. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Javed, for the question, which stirred up some of the discussions here, but I will take this in English. Something we have seen in our regional cooperation program or the training and the workshops that we do is going beyond the individual sustainability to the institutional sustainability. And this is maybe one of the key points we try to work with many of our partners, including Lebanon and some other states in the region, is to look at the approach, how do we strengthen these capacities at the institutional level, with keeping in mind that people rotate, people move. How can this knowledge and the capacity be transferred at that level? So it's not easy, but this is the approach we try to work through with the partners in the Middle East and North Africa region. And perhaps if we as a mine action or explosive ordnance overall sector link this sustainability to a human rights issue, in our governments, in our states, it remains at the end the state's responsibility to clear the landmines in there. So how can the state also be open-minded, be committed to deal with this as a human rights issue and to maintain this sustainability? Thank you.
Thank you, Rana. Oh my goodness, we have two more questions. So the lady in the back and then you. Thank you.
Thank you. For me, it will be very, very quick. It will just be flagging an event at 1:15 on strengthening local capacity to respond to explosive injuries. And we are going to present 4 pilot projects to try to increase the survival rates after accident, coordinating better between mine action and trauma care. And this is about building national capacity, so I just want to invite everybody to come to that later. Thank you.
Very, very important. Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing it, because it's in all the panelists' interventions. Madam?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Aida Bernard Cargill, the Syria Mine Action AOR co-coordinator, and I wanted to thank for this event and for taking up the topic of localization, because it's extremely important. I just wanted to follow up on the last question, or maybe give a comment to that. While in Syria we have a number of international actors, that's true. However, the majority of their colleagues are national staff, and they are being trained. So that capacity is already being built even through the international organizations. That's one thing that I really wanted to highlight. And then, of course, there is the role of the Mine Action AOR as the coordinating body. And it has been the Mine Action AOR's role really to facilitate this exchange. Of course, we need to do more, but it's really important to add this aspect of coordinating between the actors on the ground and how they are dealing with each other, exchange the experiences exactly as Ahmed was saying, is a really, really important aspect. So I wanted, thank you. I think that was all I wanted to add.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sebastian Kazak, MAG. I think the architecture is super important when setting up a new Mine Action Center. So I was very interested to hear that it goes under the Ministry of Emergencies and is the disaster response, etc. Because Lebanon is under the Ministry of Defense. It's a big decision in the beginning. Where do you place it? So where does mine action go? But I think for White Helmets also the question is, you were in the opposition for 12, 14 years. Now it's government. Are you part of the government? Are you going to be a CSO? Are you an NGO? Are you a hybrid? What's the future? I think these are key questions for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this question, and it's really needed to make this clarification. When I'm announcing for the National Center, I'm not saying that White Helmet will be establishing that. Why we will keep White Helmet as independent organization, as an NGO dealing with the different type of activities, not only mine action, but we have also rubber removal, we have a localization, we have a human right, we have a different program. So we will keep it. However, in terms of the past 12, 13 years, we were in the opposition. In our constitution, we mentioned that when we have a legitimate government, we have to be part of this. We have to support this government. And we do believe the existing government now, it has been somehow legitimate, and also what the Syrian hope to do for the future. So in a nutshell, we are supporting the government. Our director, the previous one, Mr. Raed, now the minister, but he resigned from White Helmet. He's no longer White Helmet president. So now he's a minister. We have an independent NGO, White Helmet, and we will hopefully influence and advocate within the ministry to keep mine action under this ministry, not defense, not interior, but within this type of ministry.
Thank you. So now comes the very hard part of trying to sum up the main takeaways from this side event. The side event was not necessarily about the issues I'm going to enumerate now, but there are other issues, and I think Rana pointed them out, that are really important to this main issue, the sustainability of demining and how the national capacities come back, which are the human rights side, the victim side, which we haven't talked too much about, and maybe this side event wasn't about that, but those are other issues that are connected to this. And all kinds of issues related to pollution and to, how do we come back into the economy and started working again after contamination has gone away. So those have not been treated now, as many others more, but there are also connected issues that I think are important. Things that struck me as a non-professional in this area were the following messages. The importance of national capacity building and how this national capacity building, I said it at the outset, needs to be nationally owned. And not only nationally owned, it needs to be owned by the national authorities, it needs to be owned by the local authorities. The importance that those local authorities have, because these community-based systems, as somebody called them, I think it was you, Dave, the importance of community-based systems that draw from irreplaceable local knowledge. We cannot know, when I say we, it's donors, but I also can see this from the perspective of a national government. National governments and donors cannot replace community knowledge and community intelligence on what is happening on the ground and where things are and how to get the locals to contribute to the project instead of resisting the project or acting outside the project. So that to me was a very, very clear message. Also the importance of national, and I would add, community leadership in this project. How to convince people that this is a project that is important not only for the country, but also for that small region and for that small town. Very important. The other side of this is the national capacity building, from what I've heard, needs a lot of international cooperation. And I've heard many, many times our speakers say regional international cooperation. Why? Because the countries know each other, are close to each other in general. You have good relationships with the neighboring countries in general. Because maybe they have gone through the same experience, but also because you have a previous relationship in many situations with them. And if you know, and this is a Lebanese case or the white helmet case, that there is experience there and that there are good professionals there, where should you go? Yeah, UNDP is very, very good. And I'm not saying that shouldn't be one of your sources, but people who are close to you and who have had that experience are very important. One of the things that you said was cooperation has to be sustainable for what? For impact. And that is the basis of this whole thing. We are looking for impact, and if there is a sustainable cooperation, I would say that there's much more of a chance that this cooperation ends having a big impact where you want it to have it. There's no standalone work in this. That also was a very important phrase that drives us back to how internationally we can help. But at the very beginning of this side event, I underlined the fact that donors are there at the request of those countries. No donor will go there and say, well, I know how to demine, I know how to treat this problem, here I am, this is what I'm going to do. That would be the wrong approach. We need to go there at their request for whatever capabilities they think we have, countries think we have that can be of use to them, adding value to what is done in the country by the local authorities and the governments. Financing, critical, yes. Here I would say, for me, we, as in all the international development world, we are already thinking about new ways of financing. So traditional financing comes from international organizations, UNDP, other agencies and funds and programs in the system. And then it also comes from bilateral donations. I would say that we need to look very hard, and there are many countries that are already looking at that, at public-private partnerships, but also at private financing to complement national financing. I think that enterprises and businesses who are invested in a country would lend an ear to that country's authorities in the case that they said, well, you know, to ready the conditions that you need as an enterprise or as a business, we need to do this. So I think those are places we can explore. Okay, I will end it here by thanking you. You've been very patient with me these last minutes at least. I was very, very interested. I wanted to thank most especially the panelists. Thank you so much. I have now learned that I need to learn Arabic to end up understanding the general. But it was a very, very good experience to hear all of you. Thank you, Dave, and Mag for inviting me, and have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you.